Hello, my name is Edwin Rutsch, and I'm the director of the Empathy Center located here in beautiful Santa Barbara, California. The center's mission is to build the empathy movement and to raise the level of empathy in society through education and community building initiatives.
And my name is Anita Nowak. I teach at McGill University, and I'm the author of Purposeful Empathy, a book that invites readers to turn up the volume of empathy in their lives.
And at the beginning of 2024, Anita and I co-hosted the Empathy Summit, brought to you by the Empathy Center, and more than 40 authors of books about empathy participated.
They shared what their book was about, why they were motivated to write it, and what they hope readers will take away. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you'll buy their book. It's now my pleasure to introduce Sophie Wade, who is a futurist and strategist, a keynote speaker, author, and LinkedIn instructor with 500,000 learners, a podcast host of Transforming Work with Sophie Wade. She is the author of Empathy Works, the Key to Competitive Advantage in the New Era of Work. Welcome to our summit. Over to you, Sophie.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's great to be here. So my book is Empathy Works, the Key to Competitive Advantage in the New Era of Work. And it is a human-centric system that is described and explained in terms of how we are needing to infuse and integrate empathy into our business worlds because of where we are, the new environment, the highly digitalized business and work environment that is so different these days, that it is interconnected, that's moving at a faster pace, that is so much more unpredictable. And so infusing empathy, this human-centric approach, is really, really important for where we are now. Could we have done it differently? Coulda, woulda, shoulda? That's not the point. The point is where we are now and how we can move forward. I talk about empathy as being a value, a mindset, and key skills that we need to be integrating, as we're needing to work together very differently. The nature of work has changed because of the drive of technology and how that has changed. There have been social developments as well, but really how we're working so interconnected at a faster pace, and much more unpredictable. There's much more non-routine work that has really grown. We're needing to collaborate much more closely together. And therefore, when we're needing to bridge silos, to working across disciplines, working with people across with much more cognitive diversity, we're needing to understand each other much more right now. So as a result, how can we do that? How can we bring our whole selves to work if we don't have a way to actually connect with each other and understand where the other person is coming from so that we can work together effectively? So that's the point, is this, like, I'm trying to describe sort of where we are. So the book is in 3 parts. The first is like where we are, technology-driven, societal developments, and how empathy works. And I take the cognitive, affective empathies and empathetic action and make that into think, feel, and act, and therefore make it sort of very simple. Or sort of making it simple so that people can really sort of get to grips with it very easily. I also talk about where we are, much more broadly in terms of the social contract, and how we sort of needing to be infusing empathy in different ways, because the extent of the changes in our environment means that, particularly in the US, there has been a break in the social contract, and how an organization used to look after us. We'd have a job for life and then we'd be able to retire. That doesn't work anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. And therefore, how are people feeling? How can we engage people? Because it's a very different environment. And so it's really sort of looking at that. What do we need across the business ecosystem now that things have changed so much? So I talk about the customer journey and the employee journey, sort of the yin yang in a holistic system, and how in that human-centric system, empathy needs to be infused without, as we have these powerful technologies so we can identify and connect with the customer on an individual basis, and really sort of like, that is my customer. I can meet them in the street. Similarly, applying the same and consistent human-centric understanding and approach to our employees. So the customer journey, the customer experiences, and the human the employee journey and the employee experiences, and really sort of like seeing that we really need to have that the thread that goes, the consistent approach that goes all the way through. So so the second part is like presenting this human-centric system, having explained sort of how empathy works, so we can be applying these think, feel, and act. And then the third part, because I love theory, I love sort of, you know, trying to understand the history of where we are and then applying it. So it has to get practical. So the third part is all about empathy habits and how we can apply those think, feel, and act in all different aspects, whether it is leadership, whether it is for salespeople, teams, hybrid working, remote working, how we can connect with people, we can read their behaviors when we're on little screens, you know, all the different things that we can do to get very practical about how we can actually take this new approach within the system and really apply it. Because, you know, we are needing to be, in order to try and reduce some of the different situations we're dealing with now. I was writing this during the pandemic, seeing how people's mindsets were changing, about how they could live their lives, and really sort of thinking like, what does that mean as we're, you know, crafting a new way forward for ourselves? Why did I write the book? Because I wanted to make a difference. I'd been talking about empathy for a long time, well, for a couple of years at least, before the pandemic. And within that, it was really 3 pillars. It was how leadership was changing, the disconnect between generations. It was, at that time, it was boomers and millennials who were kind of like, oh my God, you know, what are those millennials doing? So I actually put myself in their shoes and looked at all the research and talked to many, many people, and really sort of said, well, now if I can put myself in somebody else's shoes and really see the world from their eyes, how does that make me understand their world better? And then the last bucket was the decentralized workforce. People were already working in very, very different ways, much more informally, mostly at that time. And so it was really sort of connecting with how they were not being managed differently. And I was, you know, helping people understand like these people are in very different environments and need to be thought about, empathized with, so that they can be managed better. And so that's sort of where it came from in terms of trying to connect with people with how their workers, how leaders were needing to decentralize decision-making and connect with their employees and their team members in different ways. So it was really trying to make a difference and improve it, and improve the workplace. And, you know, we have that saying, it's not personal, it's business. Well, that doesn't really work anymore. We used to have, when we were working in factories, we could sort of separate out, you know, that was, you know, dealing with factories and really pretty inhumane environments. That was something we needed to do. We needed to separate out our lives and the fun that we could have, and where we actually really connected with others, and our businesses. Now everything is much more integrated. And so empathy needs to be integrated very much in the same way. And so how can we do that? Well, that's where I get very practical. And what I want users to take away is, readers to take away is, and I'm really looking to create a blueprint for rising leaders, because I think people who've been working the same way for decades is very, very hard, as the previous 2 previous speakers were saying, in terms of changing mindsets. And this really does require a mindset shift in the workplace. So it is really trying to communicate a blueprint, a system of how we can be working and infused with empathy that is a win-win, both for employers and employees, so that the employers, that the people can be, employees can be attracted, connected with, and engaged, as well as employees can have a sort of connecting with customers, and employees can actually have a much richer environment, be able to connect, to adjust to their preferences and perform better, and be enjoying it at the same time. So empathy for me really works throughout the ecosystem, allowing businesses to connect with all of the other entities that they're dealing with, and also with their employees and the customers. So for me, it really is about the ecosystem and infusing that with empathy. And that's the end of my time.
Wow, thank you so much, Sophie. I think I agree that it's important when you have been studying empathy that you can say pre-COVID, like even pre-COVID, you were already interested in empathy. I think that says a lot. Although everybody who's catching up, you're welcome to the group as well. Thank you.